This past October, former Michigan State FFA President Adrian Shunk was elected to serve as this year's Eastern Region National FFA Vice President. Adrian is a sophomore at Michigan State University and is majoring in communication. Her love of agricultural education, leadership, and maple syrup production has led her to where she is today. But it is her passion for the FFA and this organization that brings her to the beautiful Palmetto State this week. Please join me in welcoming your 2018-2019 National FFA Vice President, Adrian Shunk.
Hey there, how's it going, South Carolina FFA? Awesome. I have loved my time here in South Carolina, whether it be doing a workshop early this morning, sitting through sessions, or just hanging with you all around campus. I've absolutely enjoyed my time with you all, but you know, every time I get to know a new group of people, I like to learn a few things about them. So to start off, we're going to start with a quick round of true and false. Feel free to just shout the answers from your seats. Number 1, true or false, Clemson is better than USC. Okay. We got some strong opinions in the room. It's all right. Let's move on to the next one. True or false, iPhone is better than Samsung. Next one, folks, next one. True or false, cupcakes are just muffins with frosting. All right. Next one, true or false, FFA is only for farmers. Awesome. And this is the last one, so we gotta pay attention here. It's pretty important. True or false, anyone can be a good driver. All right. So, for anyone who said yes to that last one, you have obviously never ridden in a car when I drive. You see, it was the day after I finished driver's training, and my mom had a letter to drop off, so we hopped into our Chevy Silverado and headed to the post office. During our 10-minute drive, I was doing everything that a good driver is expected to do. I was checking my mirrors, I was going the speed limit, and of course, I was playing some good music. It was probably like JoJo Bros or Thomas Rhett at that time. Meanwhile, my mom was doing everything a mom is expected to do. She was clutching her seat as tightly as possible while pretending like she trusted my driving. Just as I was pulling around to the mailbox, my mom said, "Adrian, please be careful, this is a really wide turn." Mom, I got this. I don't know who she thought she was talking to, but I had been driving this truck for like a really long time, like a whole 10 minutes. I knew exactly what I was doing. So I pull up to the mailbox, a perfect arm's length from the mail slot, take the letter and put it into the box. Mission accomplished. Told you, Mom. I put the car in drive, crank the wheel, and start to pull forward. Just as I was reaching to turn up the radio, boom, the vehicle jolted to a stop, and we heard a giant screech coming from behind us. Slowly, I looked out the driver's side mirror, and what I saw was the big blue mailbox, still securely cemented to the ground, but its corner was wedged into the side of my vehicle, and a giant gash following where the mailbox had slid against it. So in this moment, I did what any cool, calm, collected, and responsible teenager would do. I avoided all eye contact with my mom. I cranked the wheel, put the vehicle in reverse, hit the gas pedal, and then boom, that same jolted stop and that same giant screech as last time. Friends, realized during my very experienced 10-minute career of driving is that when you wedge something against your vehicle and you do the exact same thing but in reverse, it's going to stay wedged against your vehicle. Who knew? So this time, looking in the mirror, what I saw was that giant gash, except it was etched even further and even deeper than it had been before. Needless to say, my mom was not very happy with me. But I don't know about you, but I do this all the time. Not running the mailboxes over and over, but I'll do something again and again without even realizing its impact on my life. Just like when I threw that vehicle in reverse, instead of slowing down, thinking, and taking a different approach, I just repeated the same action. As a result, that dented line became etched even deeper into the vehicle that I was driving. Just like in our own lives, when we choose to do something again and again, those choices become etched into who we are. For example, if I choose to skip practice one day here and one day there, those etchings eventually add up, and I might become someone that my teammates can't rely on. If I choose to gossip or speak poorly about others, I might eventually become someone who others don't see as a true leader. In comparison, if I choose to practice math or basketball, baking, or public speaking on a daily basis, those etchings also add up, and I become someone who is really good at that activity. You see, what we do over and over becomes who we are. The good news is that we get to decide who we become through our actions. We get to decide, do we throw that vehicle in reverse and keep etching those same lines? Or do we choose a different approach? If we're already making healthy decisions that help us become a better leader and improve our character, then let's keep etching those lines. But if there are some choices being made in our life that we're not necessarily proud of, that we'd love to change, or that we want to become better in, then let's start to take a different approach. I know it might seem intimidating to think that it all comes down to one action, but when I think of someone who was very intentional about the etchings that he etched into his life, I think of Harry Houdini. How many of us have ever heard of Houdini? Cool, like maybe 5 people. Awesome. Let's get everyone else up to speed here. So, in the early 1900s, Houdini was known as the greatest escape artist of all time. He escaped jail cells, locked rooms, and even the belly of a whale. One day, Houdini was invited to escape what was known as the most secure jail cell in the entire world. However, there was 2 requirements. Number 1, if he escaped in under 3 hours, he would be awarded a large sum of money. And number 2, he had to spend the night in a local hotel before starting early the next morning. Houdini believed he could take on any challenge that came his way, so he accepted. The night finally arrived, and Houdini moved into his hotel room and started to prepare for the day ahead. As he laid down and tried to sleep, he soon realized that every hour, on the hour, someone different would knock on his door. Houdini would get out of bed, shake off the tiredness, and walk up to the door and open it. Every time finding someone who would say, "Houdini, you're not going to be able to do it," or "Houdini, it's just too hard." Despite these interruptions, Houdini tried his best to get some sleep and showed up to the jail cell early the next morning. The guards escorted him into the cell and then closed the door behind him. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes flew by as Houdini tried every possible escape mechanism he could think of. But by the time 30 minutes out of his 3-hour time limit rolled by, Houdini turned to the guards and informed them that he had given up. Now, the greatest escape artist of all time, the one who escaped jail cells, locked rooms, and even the belly of a whale, gave up. So, the guards escorted him out of the room and into the lobby of the jail where the mayor of the town was waiting for him. The mayor apologized for his failed attempt, but then proceeded to tell information to Houdini that he could have never expected. Houdini, the door was unlocked the entire time. All you had to do was open it. You see, Houdini had been told over and over again that he couldn't do it, and he believed it. You see, I wonder if that morning, as the guards closed the doors behind him, if those voices from the night before began echoing in his head, making him think, maybe they were right. Maybe I really can't do this after all. And failed attempt after failed attempt, those voices probably began etching themselves even deeper into his head and his heart, convincing him that he didn't have it in him. You see, we already know that what we do over and over becomes who we are. But Houdini shows us that there might be something more to it. Houdini shows us that the one thing more powerful than what we do is what we think. You see, just like Houdini, if we believe the voice that says we can't succeed, it's likely that we won't. And if we believe the voice that says we can succeed, it's likely that we will. Think about it in your own life. If you're making successful choices and you're being successful over and over again, what are the messages that you're telling yourself that's helping you do so? And if you feel like you can't change your habits, become a healthier person, or become a better version of yourself, what thoughts or actions might need to be changed? All of this boils down to one question. What are you saying to yourself? And who are you becoming because of it? Let's think about it like a number line. We all know from elementary school that the left side of a number line is negative and the right side of a number line is positive. So if I think to myself that, man, I'm too shy to be a leader, I could never do public speaking, automatically that thought becomes etched into our minds. And we all know that when we think negative thoughts, negative actions are likely to follow. So if we believe that we're not a leader, then we automatically avoid opportunities to influence others, not running for a chapter or a state office, or encouraging the people around us, or doing a leadership contest. That makes us one step further from the positive side of our lives, further from the person that we want to be. Maybe you've thought to yourself, I'm not smart enough to do well in my classes or athletic enough to make the team. Again, one step further. When we begin to believe that, we begin to believe that we don't even need to try because it's not worth it. You see, etching. Every time we etch a negative thought into our minds, negative actions are likely to follow. And when we repeat these actions over and over, we become further and further from the person we want to be. But friends, when we find ourselves here, we must remember one thing. We are in the driver's seat. We always get to choose the actions we etch into our lives. And we always get to choose the thoughts that create them. So when we find ourselves here, we must remember one thing. How do we recenter ourselves? Remind ourselves of who we want to be and where we want to stand. So when we say to ourselves, I'm too shy, I could never be a leader, there is a much better story to etch into our lives. Because you are a leader, and the people around you look up to you more than you realize. Etching. And when we begin to believe this, we begin to step into opportunities to influence others, whether it be running for a chapter or state office or doing a leadership contest, one step closer to the positive side of our lives. When you say to yourself, I can't get good grades or make the team, there's a better thought to believe about who you are. Because you are smart and capable enough to achieve anything you would like in this life. Etching. And when we begin to believe this, we begin to fearlessly pursue opportunities that mean the most to us, that allow us to become the best versions of ourselves possible. You see, friends, every time we replace the negative thoughts about ourselves with the positive thoughts of who we want to be, we become a better person because of it. We begin etching a better story into our lives, a story that hands us the steering wheel and allows us to drive in the direction that we want to be. We are in the driver's seat. We always get to choose which way we'd like to head with our thoughts and our actions. Now, we've covered a lot of ground today, so I just want to do a quick recap here. How many of us remember that one time when I ran into a mailbox? How many of us remember the second time I ran into a mailbox? Cool, me too. I remember that because every single day when I'm home, I drive that same truck, and those etchings are still in it. And to me, it's a reminder that every day we have the opportunity to etch new lines, new thoughts, and new actions into our lives. South Carolina FFA, you are in the driver's seat. You always get to choose the thoughts you etch into your minds, and you always get to choose the actions that follow. What will you choose? Thank you.
Adrian, thank you for sharing your words of wisdom with our FFA members. We are delighted that you could come and join us for the 92nd South Carolina FFA State Convention. We wish you a wonderful rest of your year, and we are so excited to see you at the National Convention. Please accept this gift to help show our gratitude for your outstanding service to our organization. I will now turn the podium over to Erica for the closing ceremony.
Before we adjourn this meeting, I would like to invite everyone to the Pickens County Career and Technology Center for a night of games, music, and friends. Please join everyone from the close of this session until 11 p.m. tonight. Madam Secretary, do you have a record of any further business which should now be transacted?
I have one announcement, Madam President. Advisors, please stop by the registration booth before you leave this evening to pick up your Teach Ag kits filled with posters and other great information.
Does any member know of any new or unfinished business which should properly come before this session? We are about to adjourn this third general session of the 92nd Annual South Carolina FFA State Convention. As we mingle with others, let us be diligent in labor, just in our dealings, courteous to everyone, and above all, honest and fair in the game of life. Fellow members and guests, please join me in a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I now declare this session adjourned.